Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm really excited to introduce kleshas. Kleshas are in the Yoga Sutras, particularly in the Yoga Sutra 2.3, and what they mean is causes of suffering, afflicting emotions. They can be described as obstacles. And so for the next 5 months, I'll probably be talking about kleshas, spending a lot of time on kleshas to round out 2022. Kleshas are really important when we're looking at our behaviors, how we show up, looking at our vrittis or our mental states, looking at our samskaras, our habits that are habits, good, bad, or indifferent, that may be steeped in some other personality traits. So yoga offers us a lot of ways to look at our behavior and how we can change it and affect change. So I would like to talk about, first of all, the kleshas overall, and then I'm going to get into the first klesha. So in the Yoga Sutra 2.12, the 5 kleshas are obstacles described in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Obstacles, kleshas, are the breeding ground for tendencies or samskaras that give rise to actions and the consequences, karma, thereof. Such obstacles are experienced as visible or invisible obstacles. So these 5 kleshas are avidya, or ignorance, asmita, or ego, sense, I-ness, raja, attachment, dvesha, aversion, and abhinivesha, the fear of death or clinging to life. So as I said earlier, the first of the kleshas is avidya, or ignorance. And this is found in Yoga Sutra 2.4, which is the breeding ground for the other kleshas to follow, whether they're dormant, interrupted, or active. So when we're talking about ignorance or vidya, really we're talking about not knowing something. So not being stupid, but generally not knowing something, and perhaps that unknowing or ignorance in that way can bring harm. So it's the absence of wisdom. So as it relates to our spiritual nature, if we don't know what we don't know, then there's nothing we can do about it, except open ourselves up to the possibility of exploration and awareness and embodiment. This can also mean that the truths are actually known. So there is stuff that is known, but the person afflicted by the avidya doesn't want to deal with the knowledge. So there's a saying is, once you see something, you can't unsee it, or once you hear something, you can't unhear it. Like having that knowledge, but really being ignorant for whatever reason. And we see this a lot. It's been COVID times of, do I really want to do that? I know this may help me, but I may not want the ridicule of going into a bank and wearing a mask, since no one's wearing masks anymore. Even though for me, the wisdom in knowing that I have a compromised immune system, I'm 84, I recently got over a crushing illness, that I really should have the mask on, and I know why. So that's an example, just a brief example off the cuff of what I think avidya is. So the idea of exploration and looking at these truths as it relates to our current society. I mean, we've seen a lot of this in today's society, haven't we? This choice to look away, has gotten us to this current space of upheaval. So it's something to consider. Also, Avidya is for the well-meaning seeker, the well-meaning healer, the well-meaning yogi or yogini who hasn't experienced moksha or liberation. They haven't gotten to the space of the true, authentic self-realization. I see this a lot in this space where there are new yoga teachers, new meditations, and often sometimes they're seasoned, who are pretending to have experienced moksha or liberation and not haven't done the work of tapas or self-study, self-discipline, svadhyaya, not really doing those two things. And those are the niyamas that I'm using in this instance to get to the point of self-realization and that exploration. So I'll leave you with this one consideration as I close on my brief discussion about avidya, ignorance. What examples of avidya in your life right now can you focus on? So what spaces of non-wisdom, perhaps things that have been unlearned, spiritual ignorance, delusion, that you could perhaps examine in your life? As the saying goes, we can only change ourselves. We often, if we're in relationships, friendships, we want that person to change, and you can't force other people to change, particularly as you're doing your own work. So you can work on yourself, and often when that change comes through, that person is, or persons or people are removed from your life, and that can be painful. But this is how we work through some of these yoga tools. And so in the Tao Te Ching, there's a saying that I'm going to read to close about self-realization. When a superior person hears of the Tao, she diligently puts it into practice. When an average person hears of the Tao, she believes half of it and doubts the other half. When a foolish person hears of the Tao, she laughs out loud at the very idea. If she didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. So the Tao, I'm loosely translating from things I've heard as the way. And so if you haven't read the book, The Tao Te Ching, you should have it in your arsenal. But yeah, I want to leave you with that, just this idea of gaining knowledge and wisdom as we go through our practices. So thank you for joining me. I hope this helps, and have a blessed day.